Hey guys, this is FIDE Viktor Neustroev, and in this video series I'll try to answer the most complicated question in chess: who is the best player of all time? Is it Garry Kasparov? I'm sure many of you would argue with this statement because at least Magnus Carlsen deserves to get this title. And of course, chess develops and every future champion plays better than the previous one, because he gets more knowledge. However, in this video series I decided to choose 5 candidates, compare their contribution to chess and analyze their best games. This is my list of 5 candidates to get an official title, the best player of all time. The first one is Emmanuel Lasker. The second is Bobby Fischer. The third, Garry Kasparov. Number 4, Vishy Anand, and number 5, Magnus Carlsen. In the first video we are going to talk about Emanuel Lasker and analyze his best game against Harry Nelson Pillsbury. Emmanuel Lasker was a German chess player, mathematician and philosopher who was world chess champion for 27 years, the longest reign of any official recognized world champion in history. Lasker used a psychological approach to the game, and even that, he sometimes deliberately played inferior moves to confuse his opponent. Recent analysis, however, indicates that he was ahead of his time and used a more flexible approach than his contemporaries, which mystified many of them. Lasker knew contemporary analysis of openings well, but disagreed with many of them and played using his own opening research.
I would like to show you the game between Harry Nelson Pillsbury and Emmanuel Lasker. So d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, looks like an ordinary queen's gambit, knight f3, c5, now it's Tarrasch defense. Bishop g5 was played in the game, a very common move. C takes d4, queen takes d4, knight c6, the queen is under attack. Queen h4. Black wants to play d4, but right now it's quite risky. That's why he plays bishop e7. Anyway, white castles queenside and queen a5. e3. Bishop d7, king b1. And here black decides to play such move like h6. Actually, this move doesn't really attack the g5 bishop because the h pawn is pinned and the rook is hanging in case of retake. But this move contains a hidden threat. So, for example, if after a few moves we castle, then we force our opponent to trade his bishop for a knight, because here we prepare knight e4 move. If the bishop moves to f4, we play knight e4 with a strong attack, so the queen is under attack, and then after we take on c3, we have the attack on the enemy king. That's why here he has to take. Bishop takes f6. Queen h5, knight d4, e takes d4, and just bishop e6 to support the pawn on d5. So knight e4 doesn't work in this position. If only he plays such a move, we can play bishop d4, and after rook d4, queen e1, king c2, d takes e4. This is how we gain a pawn, and we can enemy king. Now, if he blocks on d1 with a rook, then queen e4 check. Okay, let's go back. Of course, knight e4 wasn't played. However, white played f4 with the idea to push the pawn forward. Rook ac8, f5. And this is where Emmanuel Lasker applied a tactical strike, the first tactical strike. What do you think his move was? If you want, you may pause the video and think a little bit, and maybe you'll find this move yourself. Okay, that was rook c3 move. So rook c3 sacrifice. If b captures on c3, then queen takes c3. So here, what to do? If he takes on e6, no, actually, no, queen c3 is not a good move. We'd better here play rook c8, f takes e6, queen takes c3 now, threatening to play queen c2. If he captures here, it's okay, just king f8, and it's difficult to suggest a move, because we are threatening with queen c2 together with bishop d4 first. For example, if queen comes to g4 to protect, then just queen b4, king goes to a1, and after rook c2 there is no defense. If he does this move, then queen c3 leads to a checkmate. So that's why the idea of Pillsbury here was just to take on e6, and here he was hoping that black would retreat with his rook. However, black didn't play such a move. Here black applied a second tactical strike. What do you think this strike was? Again, if you want, you may pause the video and find this move yourself. Okay, this move was rook a3 move. What a weird move. Now, b takes a3 doesn't lead to a good position for white. For example, then queen goes here, and if king goes to a1, we can play bishop d4, rook has to take, queen takes, king b1, and after f takes e6, white king is too weak, and I believe black can win the game very quickly. So what else to play? For example, king c2. If this move, then rook c8 check, king goes to d2, queen d4, and if, for example, bishop d3, I'm sure you can find a checkmate in two moves in this position. What do you think black should do to be able to deliver a checkmate in two moves? Okay, it's just a rook c2 move. If now king takes, queen b2 is a checkmate. If the king goes to e1, the only other square, then queen f2 is a checkmate. So bishop d3 is not a good move, but maybe king e1 is the best option. However, here the most exact solution is to play queen e3. So queen e2 doesn't work because of bishop c3. That's why bishop e2 is the only other move, but f takes e6, and this is where we open the f file and continue the attack. For example, queen h3, bishop c3 check, king goes to the f file, and we use our rook. Of course, he blocks, but it doesn't work because there are too many dark squares into the enemy camp. We just play bishop a5 with the idea to play bishop b6 and deliver a checkmate. If he tries to secure this spot with queen g3, then another plan with e5, e4 works in this position. For example, queen g3, bishop b6, a4, e5, a5, then bishop c5, and on the next move we play e4, and after we take on f3, materially we will be just down the exchange. However, what is more important, the white king's weakness, and I think we will be able to checkmate it. So in this position, Emmanuel Lasker calculated everything, I believe, and only after that he played such a weird, from the first glance, but at the same time a very strong move, rook a3. However, white replied with e takes f7. Rook takes f7, b takes a3 now, queen b6. And actually we get almost the same position. The best option actually to save was to play bishop b5, and this is what exactly happened in the game. And this is where, after a few moves, king a1, this is where Lasker started making mistakes. Instead of playing something like queen c4 to put the pressure on d4 and then to gain the material, he played rook c7. Oh, for example, in case of queen c4, queen g4, rook e7, rook h e1, bishop d4. Then if queen takes d4, rook takes e1, And if queen c4, we just take on d1 first and then take the queen. So it's extra rook. But if, for example, not rook h1, not rook h to e1, but something like queen h3 maybe, then bishop d4, king b1, and rook e2 with a strong attack. However, queen b3 and rook b2. In this position, of course, black is winning with the queen versus two rooks, but there is a passed pawn on the d file, and the king is quite weak. However, I don't know why, but Lasker didn't play such a move. He decided that rook c7 wins the game, but not rook d2, rook c4 to put the pressure. And this is where his opponent, Harry Nelson Pillsbury, made a mistake. Rook h d1. He'd better play something like rook e d1, and in case of rook takes d4, rook e8, and queen e5. If, for example, queen c6 first in this position, then queen e8, offer retreat, and then I'm sure in this position the chance for white to lose is quite low. Okay, so rook h to d1, this mistake was played by white. Rook c3, queen e5, and queen c4. Now black is threatening with a checkmate in two moves. So something like that. King goes to b2 and queen c3. And another mistake by white. Instead of this mistake, white better play king b1. However, even if this move, black is fine. Black can capture on a3. Rook c1, queen b4, king goes to a1. And oh, now maybe white can start the attack on black king. So king b1 was a better option. However, instead king b2 was played here, what looks of course more natural, but at the same time loses the game very quickly. What do you think black next move was? What are your ideas? Please, you may pause the video and try to find the solution yourself. Okay, and we continue. Rook takes a3. So it's the second time when Lasker plays a rook to a3. So he applied this tactical idea twice. Now he wants to capture on a2. Queen e6 check doesn't really change much. King h8, and then queen e8 doesn't make sense, just king h7. We are threatening to take on d4 and a2 with a checkmate. So, for example, if king takes on a3, then he gets a checkmate, queen a5, king a4, b5. King has to take, and then queen c4, king goes to a5, bishop d8 is a final move, after which the only option is to sacrifice the queen, and then black wins the game. Okay, so that was the example of the most brilliant game played by Emmanuel Lasker. So you see how good he was with his tactical skills and his ability to calculate the lines properly. So, and his tactical vision was also brilliant. He noticed rook a3 2 times.
In this video you learned about 5 candidates to claim a title of the best player of all time. I told you about the first candidate, Emmanuel Lasker, and demonstrated a brilliant game played by him. I'm sure you have grasped some principles of his playing style and now can implement these ideas in your games. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with your friends, chess players. If you have any ideas of who should get a title of the best player of all time, please share your opinion into the comment section below this video. I hope you enjoyed this video and don't miss the next one, where I'm going to present the next candidate, Bobby Fischer, and demonstrate one of his most brilliant games. However, if you don't want to wait and would like to watch something really helpful in chess, I highly recommend you watching my most popular video on the screen next about chess visualization. Okay, enjoy this ultimate guide to improve your chess visualization, and I'll see you there in a moment.